revisiting my dreams with the king.
Should be a countdown. Yo, good people, welcome to another episode of the Revisit Your Dreams podcast. I am your host, Johnny King III, aka Still Chill Leroy, and this is The Ride right here on the Revisit Your Dreams channel on YouTube.com. If you're a sports family, if you're looking to raise one, if you have children in youth, middle school, or high school sports, if your family are having NIL discussions with your young athlete, or if you simply just want to hear from two awesome individuals who have been best friends and married for over 20 years while raising their athletic children, then you want to stay tuned. This is a show you want to be here for. Today's episode is titled When Sports Culture is a Family Dynamic. Our very special guest today, I'm going to introduce to you very shortly, but I want to remind you why we're here at Revisit Your Dreams. We're here to inspire, to motivate, to encourage, to explore real life stories of trial, error, and success, and to maybe even provide a few laughs along the way. My very special guest today just recently celebrated their 20th year of marriage. They are the proud parents of two very talented young athletes. Shannon was a standout high school basketball player and track and field athlete at Vallejo High School in Vallejo, California, and is the youngest sibling of a very talented and well-decorated sports family. We'll explain. Shannon is also a very proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Fred from Tyler, Texas, played for Robert E. Lee Red Raiders in high school. He went on to star as a Division I wide receiver for University of Washington Huskies. In 1998, Fred was drafted in the 6th round into the NFL by the Buffalo Bills and ultimately contributed as a special team standout to the Super Bowl 36 champion New England Patriots team, coached by legendary coach Bill Belichek and led by Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady. Currently, they reside in Frisco, Texas, with Coach Fred helping to lead McKinney High School to football glory. Please welcome my friend from Vallejo and my new acquaintance from Tyler, Texas, Mrs. Shannon Shelley-Coleman and Mr. Coach Fred D. Coleman. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having us. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I like that UCLA on your shirt and in your hat. We'll get more into that soon. I know what it stands for. Maybe some of the people watching don't, but we'll get to that very soon. This is season 2 of the Revisit Your Dreams podcast, and I like to start off with each episode by just letting the viewing audience know how I know each guest that I interview. Everyone that I'm interviewing is somebody that I know personally. In this case, I just met Mr. Coleman, but Shannon, I went to high school with her and her brothers, ran track with her, watched her play, on a basketball court as well. And so just have a kind of a history going back to Vallejo High School with that. Little fun fact, your older brother Jason, when he was in high school, he was a standout football player as well. I remember one game was a homecoming celebration, and his girlfriend at the time was homecoming queen, or she was in the homecoming coronation, and Jason could not escort her because he had to be in the locker room with the team during halftime. So I was, I guess, the only person he trusted me to escort her during the ceremony. So that's one of my connections with Jason. We got real cool after that. I was kind of really cool with Capril after that as well. But that's my connection. Shannon, you got any feedback on that connection?
No, obviously we met in high school, met your younger brother, obviously, just growing up in the V, whether you know someone or you don't know someone, initially you end up meeting, right? And we know people who know each other and that kind of thing. So, I'm class of 93. I think I probably met you initially with probably whomever you were dating at the time. Who knows? It was so long ago. But just Vallejo High School. We always stand up for the Vallejo High Apaches. So
That's it.
I think there's something different now. But
I think they're Red Hawks or something like that.
yeah, that is what they are
Yeah,
now.
Red Hawks. Yeah, once an Apache, always Apache though. They're gonna always be Vallejo Apaches in my heart,
Right,
I know
right,
they try to
right. I mean,
take the
so,
Apache out of the lexicon because of political
right.
correctness and all of that, but it's hard for me to
We
even
were
get the
the best.
Washington Redskins out of my head. I'm sorry, no disrespect.
I know. It's hard, isn't
Fred, I
it?
know you
Yeah,
know what I'm talking about.
yeah. I grew up a Cowboy fan, so the Redskins has always been a rival, and to say Commanders just don't come out.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, well, we're just gonna go ahead and get started. This first question, Fred, we'll get to you in just a moment, but this first question is strictly for Shannon. It's a 100% Vallejo, California question. All right,
Okay.
I ask every guest that I interview from Vallejo this question. What is it about Vallejo that you think produces such amazing athletic talent year after year? We got Hall of Fame baseball players, CC Sabathia, Super Bowl winning running back CJ Anderson, former NBA player Brandon Armstrong, even your brother Jason helped lead his AFL team to championships, amongst many others that have come out of our city and excelled in sports and athletics. What are your thoughts? What do you think produces that? What is it about Vallejo?
I think obviously, we're the itty bitty city in the Bay, right? Everybody knows us as that. But I just think growing up, we just always had that family feel, right? So we all went to school pretty much with the same people for a long time. And the things that we did as young people, we got outside, we played sports. I know my brothers would go neighborhood to neighborhood to play other families in sports. And I just think that being such a small community and having the family feel, because everybody knew somebody or someone else's parent, right? And we had other sports that are going on, that people just participated in sports. And we only had our two high schools. Well, I'm sorry, we had three, but two public schools, right? And so I just think it's really growing up where people just always went outside and always played sports. So you can start from every era. We had so many different people from every single era, whether it was the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, and 2000s, and us going forward. I think what it is just the city, Vallejo is just the family feel. We all wanted to do something together, and people always wanted to do something together. And sports is something that you can always do something together with someone else.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what it is about Vallejo. The culture, the differences, the different people.
Yeah, I think it's so. I agree that it's very diverse, very cultural, and in order for all those cultures to survive in like a small melting pot, you had to mingle, you had to mix, you had to integrate with one another, and sports just kind of brought everybody together like that. Like I remember
Yep.
in every sport we played, you go to some cities or some schools and the whole team is white or the whole team is black or the whole team is Hispanic, and it wasn't like that in Vallejo. Like every team, it was every nationality on every team. That's just how it was. So I appreciate the
Exactly.
response to that question. I just like to know from what other people think about the city of Vallejo, because I kind of get the same feeling growing up there, that it's a big community that together has raised their children, and we're are the products of our parents coming together and bringing, probably making Vallejo what it is still to this day. Most of our
Right.
parents still live in Vallejo or in the Bay Area. Most of us that were born and raised there. Appreciate that. Fred, you have excelled in the sport of football, and your skills have taken you to the absolute highest pinnacle in that sport. When you look back on your years as a young kid in football, talk about how your mind and your skill developed over the years to lead you to want to be the best that you could be.
Well, I just think it started with just playing outside, like you guys just talked about. I grew up in Tyler, Texas, small city similar to Vallejo, very small. It's kind of funny because our colors are red and white, and our crosstown rivals is blue and white, similar to
Hey,
Vallejo.
that's crazy.
So, but it was a the community. We all got together, and every kid loved to play sports. It was always everybody had brothers and sisters, and so I'm the baby of 8. So everybody had brothers and sisters, and the Friday night games was electric. Everybody wanted to go and be a part of it. So I think growing up and working out with my brothers, playing with other kids in the neighborhood, and also I think a big thing is playing multiple sports. I think that's huge to development. And then once you decide to play one sport, you got all the different things from every sport to help you excel. From playing receiver, playing basketball, running track, all those different things I think helped me in different ways. So once I started playing straight football in college, I was able to excel more and more and get better and better simply because of playing multiple sports, playing against older guys, competing. And I think one other thing, and I think my wife's family had this too, was you had older brothers who didn't take it easy on younger brothers. Your older brothers try to whoop you more than anybody else. And so when you feel like you could go against your older brother, it didn't matter who the competition was once I left outside of Tyler. It just didn't matter because I felt like, as a kid, you feel like your older brothers are really good. But when you finally beat your older brother, man, you feel good about yourself. And I think that, along with playing multiple sports, helped me excel in football each year as I got a little bit better, a little stronger, and things of that nature.
Yeah, playing definitely. There's a lot of conversation today going on about kids whether they should play multiple sports or stick to specialize in a singular sport. Especially when they talk about basketball, that becomes a big topic. And I agree. I think that it makes us all better athletes when you involve yourself in multiple sports. You can learn something from in every sport that you can apply to all the other sports. Even if it's just discipline, even if it's something you learn from coaching, you might have learned something from another player. Do you think that Tyler? This is just a side question. Do you see Tyler, Texas, with it being as small as it is, and you mentioned the colors of the schools, do you view from your perspective, I know you have been to Vallejo at this point, you guys have been married 20 years, I'm sure you've been to Vallejo before, do you see Tyler, Texas very much like Vallejo in the feel of the city?
That's a good question. I think it has a small amount of similar feelings just because of the family togetherness, people being together, kids getting outside and playing, and everybody trying to play every sport. Obviously, California is way more diverse than Tyler is, but I think the families, the friends, the kids you grew up with, I think that has some similarities. I do, and I think kids playing sports and wanting to play sports. And I also think the one thing we didn't talk about that helps with both cities is being from a smaller city and not getting talked about. You hear about all the surrounding cities, the big name cities. I'm from Tyler, you hear about Dallas, you hear about all these places, and I know in Vallejo you probably heard about the other places, San Francisco and all these other places. And you're like, man, hey, we here too.
Yeah.
And so I think it helped a lot of the young athletes. Like, look, I'm gonna let them know that Tyler, Texas is on the map. Like, I'm pretty sure Jason and Cece and all those guys felt like, hey, don't forget about the V now, we here.
Exactly.
So I think that they're very similar in those type of things.
Yeah, that kind of piggybacks off the response that Shannon gave to the first question. I think that's also part of the reason is, that small town feel. One, you're competitive in your small town. You have to compete just to make the team in your small town, and then let alone outside of that, you got to compete to get recognized by the other cities with the bigger teams and, more athletes and things like that. So, man, I appreciate your response to that. This is a question for both of you guys. All right, as parents, you're raising two very bright and talented children who happen to be extremely athletic. With your daughter, Kaden, a freshman softball player who last year starred on her high school's varsity team, and your son, Chase, earning a D1 offer to play college football at UCLA this fall. Congratulations to both of them. Can you talk to us? Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. That's very great. Can you talk to us about the challenges of maintaining and developing a routine that allows your family to be prepared and present on time to all practices, games, and events? Like, how have you all been able to manage that as a family? Because I know your daughter might be playing at one time and your son might be playing at the same time in another city or another location. Like, how do you guys manage all of that and still be able to be there to support them too?
So,
go ahead. Okay.
Well, so what I'll say is I think that sometimes it was divide and conquer, right? So, thinking about, say, basketball, right? My daughter playing softball, and my son, if he's playing basketball, say it's in the spring or the summer, well, then my daughter's also playing basketball, playing softball, and spring and summer as well. And so we would probably just divide and conquer. He would usually he'll go with her to softball because it's outside and we're in Texas and it's hot. So we'll just be out, right?
I want
and
that AC.
Me too. And they're there all. I mean, sometimes it's all day, right? You might be there before 8 a.m. and Fred knows, and everybody knows, my whole family knows, I don't do 8 a.m. games for anybody. And so he's always with her, at least there, and then I would be inside if Chase was playing basketball at the same time. So fortunately, if we had those instances, we might divide and conquer, or if it was something when she was younger and wasn't playing travel ball, she would just be with us. But in the fall, not so bad because Chase is playing football, and she wasn't necessarily doing fall softball all the time, and we chose not to do that initially because of the time that it took with Chase, right, to play football in the fall and him coaching football. So obviously both of them. So that was that. But once she got to middle school and Chase was in high school before they were together, because they're 3 years apart, the schedules actually were okay. The only time it really sort of conflicted were just a few times, maybe spring, summer, when Chase was probably in the 11th grade or that kind of thing. But usually we'll divide and conquer. And then sometimes my parents live here. My dad will always come get her. You know, Jason's here. Our families also still help one another, right? So if we need my dad to come, you know, they'll come, my parents. If we need their godparents who are also from the Bay, the godparents moved here 6 months after we moved here. They were friends with Jason at first, and that's how we met them. And so they kick in. Jason and his wife kick in. My sister Tracy lives here too, so they kick in. So I think we just divided and conquered where we needed to, but we were always able to be there and always had somebody there with them. Most of the times we could all be there, but other times when you couldn't, we did it that way.
Yeah, Fred, do you have any feedback on that?
Yeah, most of the time, like you said, we divide and conquer. It actually worked out pretty good because of the age differences with 3 years being apart. When Chase was doing, we had to do a lot of moving around for Chase. Caden was too young to do moving around, travel stuff. And as Chase got older and she began to do travel ball, he was kind of getting close to or old enough to kind of go on his own. Once we got him a car, he could drive to some of the stuff, and we could maybe go to Caden's game and then come to his game, because usually in softball you play 3 or 4 games in one day. So maybe she would go with Chase, miss the first game, then come see Caden the second game and things of that nature. So we kind of split up like that. As far as getting the practices on time and stuff, we just kind of made a deal when we was younger. I told him, you know, just from being a coach, from being a former player, I just was like, look, if we're going to sign up for something, we're going to show up. And so my wife being a lawyer, her discipline and her character when it comes to doing things the right way has been a major factor in things that the kids do, because she's very disciplined. And so with me being a coach, I try to be pretty disciplined too. I'm a little flexible at times, but I want you to know that if we sign up, you're going to show up. So when we sign up, you're showing up. We're going to get to practice. There are days that Caden didn't want to go, Chase didn't want to go. That's just too bad. We signed up, we're going. And so we try to instill discipline to the kids like that. And then lastly, we definitely had a family affair with different people helping us. We had all kind of folks helping us get them there when there was times we couldn't get them there.
Yeah. Thank you for expounding upon that. This episode is titled "When Sports is a Family Dynamic," and you pretty much just, identify that part of the dynamic is you need family. You know, when you have multiple children in multiple sports, it's important. You're going to have a family or someone to help assist for practices, assist for games. And then when your kids get older, like you said, and they can start driving themselves, that relieves some of the pressure a little bit off of you guys, off of your schedules. So you can go see Caden's games and then, shoot over to, support, Chase as well.
Right.
And then, Fred, would you say that it's equally important, or how would you rate this question, like organization and timeliness? Where would you rate that on the scale of an athlete's success factor as it relates to like their athleticism? Like, you got to be athletic, you need to be talented, but how important is organization and timeliness to an athlete's success?
I think it's a underrated importance to a lot of people because it's helping them grow, but they got to learn how to be organized, and that takes some time. With Chase, for example, Chase is, he's kind of a last minute guy. He'll get there and he'll show up and he'll be ready to go, but he gonna drag in and you gonna be looking like, man, is he ready? But then he'll go play and be ready. But I think as he got older, once the opportunity to go to college started entering into the idea, he started realizing, oh man, I was like, Chase, coaches gonna look at timeliness. They're gonna look, obviously being late and showing up early, staying late. Those things are gonna become a factor because you're not gonna be the only talented player. And so I think those things, once he started in high school, because we was in McKinney, and it was a great amount of athletes in McKinney. I mean, it's about 7 of those kids that played with him as freshmen all got D1 scholarships now. And so once he started seeing other great athletes, he was like, oh man, I got to figure out ways to stand out. And I think being organized, being disciplined, those things kind of can help you stand out. As far as my daughter, she's kind of she's kind of got a lot of me because she's the baby, which is only two of them. But with me, I saw a lot of the stuff my older brothers and sisters did that was good and bad, and so she tries to stay on the good side of all the things. Like dad gonna get on me if I ain't whatever, or mom's gonna say this because that's what mom does, and so she kind of maneuvers her way through to. I think she has a little more drive than Chase. And I think she's just, she has a little more, I think it's I don't know, I guess we tease each other all the time. It's kind of a family thing. Her family likes to sleep, and my family gets up. So Chase likes to sleep. And my daughter, she'll get up and we'll get moving. Like when we go to her softball tournament, we have to get up 5:30 and 6 in the morning. She get up, she ready to go. And so she kind of maneuvers her way through both. So, but I think it's important because it teaches kids at some point, if you're good enough and you get good looked at, you're gonna have to go off on your own. And what my son is experiencing now is you got to get up and be there. I give you an example. Chase's first day, they told him, I think it was breakfast was at 6:15 or something along those lines. They had from 6:15 to 6:45 to eat, and he got there, about 6:20, no big deal. Got there 8 and was ready to go. But his DB coach was like, "Nah, I want all the DBs here before 6." And so he's like, "Oh, I get there before 6." Yeah. See, now it's a different ballgame. So now he had to adjust his schedule, wake up a little early, and get there before 6.
The time on the sign say 6:15, but the people after 6 is getting cut.
Exactly, and that's what I told him. I said, "There's things you're gonna learn, and every coach is gonna be different." And so he's learning those things now as he's away. But I think he has a good background of us being on him about getting up, being on time, and being there. And we went through some stuff. He was late a few times to school and things of that nature. And as parents, we tried to discipline, take his car away, things of that nature. Be like, look, man, you got to be on time. It's important. And so with my daughter, she's a little more timely than Chase. And so right now, I think she understands the importance of it just because she saw what her brother went through.
Yeah, she learned what to do and what not to do too. When you got an older sibling, man. I appreciate all of that feedback, and if you're watching, maybe you get something out of it because, all of us as parents deal with children who operate on their own schedule. Every family is dynamic. Sometimes you have family, like our family is similar to yours. Half of us like to sleep, half of us like to get up early. And, because of those differences, sometimes it causes challenges in developing a routine. But that's why you have to train yourself and your children to develop their own routine and what's important. And it sounds like you started to do that with Chase, and he's getting that more and more with the coaches he has, down there at UCLA now. Because not every kid is going to. This is another thing I wanted to say to the viewing audience real quick. You're looking at someone who has, reached the highest pinnacle in his profession. And at the same time, he is also, making sure that his children stay committed and focused. And because they're kids, they're not perfect. They may not always do the things that you expect them to do, and if you're on the outside looking in, you might look at somebody like Fred and say, he should easily have his daughter or his son doing XYZ. They should be on point. Everything should be ready. But Chase is his own individual. Kaden is her own
Yes.
individual, and so you got to teach
Yes.
them, and you got to raise them and give them the tools necessary to be successful. So that's why I appreciate the answer to that question, because it definitely helps. All right, the next question is for you, Shannon. How do you do it? How do you support your daughter in softball, your son in football, which is now going to pose more of a challenge with him going to school out of state, your husband in coaching, and a host of cousins, nieces, and nephews that you support in spirit, along with your professional career? How are you able to survive as a wife, as a mother, in a constant world of support of athletic dreams?
Oh gosh, that is a good one. You know, I don't know if I'm doing anything different than any other mother does, right? You think about being a mother, being a wife, you just and being a black woman, we just you do what you do, right? I go to work, and fortunately, I have a job where I have flexibility and where I have work-life balance, which is always good, right? When I first started practicing, before I was married, before I had kids, it wouldn't have been the same. But I knew then that where I was at the firm, although it was great, the amount of time it took would not be sustainable for me, knowing that we wanted to get married, we wanted to have children. And so I think what I do now, I'm pretty organized. And so I plan, right? So I'm always planning. I'm always thinking ahead. I'm always, trying to figure out how we can do this or do that. And so I think the way I do it is just one, I think I'm pretty organized. One, two, I'm a planner. And so I just try to plan things. I try to map out where we are, what we're doing. And of course, it doesn't always fall the way I think it will. That happens because it's life. But I think I just organize, I just plan. And then, of course, Fred is always there. He's always helpful. He's always doing above and beyond as a father and as a husband. So, I couldn't say, Fred is not missing his kids in anything that is going on, whether it is playing a sport or even when Chase was in the chess club or Caden in the choir. He's not going to miss anything, right? So we both are trying to be there to do everything that we need to do. We don't want to miss anything of our kids because, they're with us and then they move on, right? Chase is in college. So I think it's just really for me more about organizing and planning, and that helps me stay sane because then I can organize and plan it. If I didn't, I'd probably have a whole amount of anxiety. But I plan. I just plan. And I make it work.
Now, this is just more of a practical question. When you say you plan, are you using technology? Are you writing stuff down? Do you have calendars posted? You got post-it notes all around? Like, how do you plan all these things, especially with different schedules and stuff like that?
I'm old school. I like paper, right? So I write stuff down. So I'm always writing something down. I always have a notepad somewhere where I'm like, okay, let me plan this out. Okay, this day, this day, this day, this day. And then I do now use my phone. So I'll use my phone to put things in my calendar. And I'm always telling them, hey, it's on your calendar. It's on the family calendar, to keep them in order. I'm like, if you accepted it, you know that we had this going on. So,
That sounds like my wife.
so
I always get in trouble about the family calendar.
I'm like,
Fred, we in the same boat right there, man.
So, but it starts with paper. I don't have a bunch of notepads, but no sticky notes. But I absolutely write. I write everything down for the most part, and then things that need. And then I have again on my phone outside of the calendar. I got notes. I got things that are set up for me to do. I keep a list of what to do. If you can see my list, some of it's not anywhere near done, but I've got a bunch of things. So I just keep that together because that's how I stay organized. Because you can't remember every single thing. I can't, at least. So I keep to-dos. I keep calendar, but it starts with paper, and then everything else, probably like everybody else, it's on my phone. So hopefully I don't lose
And
my
then
phone.
to go back to where what Fred said is you can't be timely on time if you're not doing what Shannon said. If you're not, if you don't know when the games are, when the practices are, after a while with a coaching schedule, a football schedule, a softball schedule, a work schedule, and a social life and other family life, like it gets convoluted. If you're not writing stuff down or keeping track of it, it's easy to get out of out of line with what you got going on. With so much happening, it's easy to lose track that, oh shoot, I'm supposed to be here in in an hour,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Right, because I'm also trying to plan with the kids, but I'm also trying to support him too with his coaching. Not that I necessarily want to watch every single person that he's coaching, but he is entertainment when I'm watching him coach. And I know that he appreciates when we show up to watch him, coach. So just having the support of other people, us being there, just like our family does, right? Not just us, but my siblings show up, right? That are here. My parents show up that are here. When his family can come in town, they're going to show up too. So just to support each other, because I think sometimes people, and this is a side note, underestimate the power of just showing up, right? For other people. So.
Mic drop. I was just getting ready to have you expand upon what you just said, and you capped it off perfectly. Like, I think sometimes people do. We underestimate the power of just being present, just showing up. That type of support. It doesn't always have to be financial. It doesn't even always have to be a long period of time. Sometimes just showing your face to say, hey, I can't stay for the whole game, but I'm going to stick here for the first quarter and watch you do your thing. Hopefully you get in. If you didn't get in, I'm going to be calling your mom and dad after the game to see how you did. But I'm glad I got to see you standing out there with your uniform on, whatever the deal is, I think that's very important. So appreciate that, because some of us come from very small families and we don't have a lot of family there that to support, or we might live in a state or a city where our family's in a whole nother area of the country and we don't have that support. But that's when you rely upon that, your community, you rely upon whatever base that you have, you rely upon the team, the teammates, the other parents on the team, the other players, the coaches, things like that. Like, you have to build that kind of support for your athlete, your young athlete. It's important for them, to see that people care about me doing good. People want to see me do well, That's very important. Okay, man. Shannon, thank you for the answer to that question. Fred, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Did you have a nickname on the back of your jersey when you played for in the XFL?
No, sir. No, sir. I did not.
I forgot about those
I
nicknames.
did not. I don't know if we had
I thought about that when I saw it. I said, okay, he played in the XFL. I got to ask that, because I remember He Hate Me is the main one I remember. But,
Everybody remembers that.
Everybody remember him. He got his big time opportunity off of that, because he was a good football player and he put that on there, and then he got opportunity at the next level. I'm trying to think if anybody on our team, because I played for the Chicago Enforcers, and I'm trying to think if we had anybody with a name, with a nickname on their jersey. I don't think anybody on our team did. If I can, I don't think so. I don't think we had anybody.
Was that something?
We had some.
That was just something that. Was that something that they just did, like optional thing, or was something they were doing to kind of promote the league, or just to add a different type of value? Why do you think they did that? Allow players to do that?
I really believe they did it to support the league, to kind of get people to see and look, because if you think about it, you watch a football game, you see He Hate Me on this jersey, and then you see a few other names that kind of catch your eye, then you might be like, hey, man, you gonna watch the football game that He Hate Me guy's playing, or I want to see if he's any good, things of that nature. So I think they did it. It was a marketing plan or plot, and I think it did a good job. Now, I don't know how they chose the teams or the people they did, but I think it was all about the marketing to try to get more eyes on the game.
Yeah, I think most people will always remember, will relate He Hate Me to the XFL.
Yes. Yep.
As soon as I hear XFL, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is He Hate Me.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I got another question for you, Fred. After your playing years in the NFL, in the AFL, and XFL, you decided to commit your life to coaching youth sports. You have been a strong supporter and mentor to your daughter, and a model of hard work and dedication to your son, Chase. But with Chase moving on to UCLA, what motivates you to continue coaching youth in the sport of football?
I just feel like I've always wanted to give back. When I got the opportunity to play college, then obviously got a chance to play pro ball. I just can remember guys who were good players when I grew up that would come to Tyler and do camps and things of that nature. And it's something I always said I wanted to do was just, if I had the opportunity to coach or give back to my city or other kids, that it was just something I would do. And I also love the challenges of coaching. Like I coached middle school for 13 or so years, and every year in middle school, you have no idea what the talent you're going to get. So you got to figure it out. It's almost like starting over every year. And so that, to me, that's the challenge of it. And when I did high school a few years, and I love high school more because I feel like I can affect the kids more because they're in that stage to where they're deciding if they truly want to go to college and play sports or not. And I can kind of give them some, hey man, it's a great opportunity, or these are the challenges you're gonna face, or man, take the challenge. Don't be afraid of leaving home. I think I have nuggets that I can give young men. With opportunities to go to the next level of college sports, just because I've been there, and I've done pretty much most of the things that they're going to do. Obviously, they got more great opportunities now with the NIL and things of that nature. But it's where it's going off from home, being away from your mom and dad, having to make it on your own, going to college with a name and getting to college and no one knows you. All that stuff I've been through, having to figure out a way to be from sixth on the depth chart to first on the depth chart, and having to, be alone and get friends, things of that nature. I've been through all that stuff. I've been through teams with great players, teams with bad players, teams with great coaches. I've been blessed to have an umbrella of a lot of information, and I feel like I try to give it back to kids at the hopefully at the right times. And then just being able to communicate with kids, that stuff. I love nowadays they got so many different slang words, and the way they talk is completely different, and I love trying to mix and mingle with that stuff to make them laugh. And I'll do some of the dumb dances they do, make them laugh a little bit to let them know I'm human, and that I make mistakes every day too. But I just enjoy the kids, the young kids from really 8th grade on up. It's exciting for me to kind of build a rapport with them and give them a chance to see something that they can do when they see a guy that done some of the things I did is coming back and coaching at this level. They're like, oh, you must either like people or just you crazy or something. But so it's a little, something to laugh about. And I just enjoy being around people. I'm a people person, so I like people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you seem to be that. I mean, I haven't met you face to face yet, but meeting you online, and hopefully one day we'll meet face to face. But you seem to be a person very likable, very approachable, very friendly, very down to earth. So that's cool. And I imagine that coaching youth football, coaching middle school age, like you said, with the lingo and the dances and stuff, that helps keep you young, helps keep you. It also helps you, now when your daughter says something, it ain't the first time you heard it before. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I was thinking, like, for middle school coaches, there has to be one of the toughest positions for a football coach as a middle school head coach, because I agree, the talent level changes every year. You got a mix of a few players who have some experience and are pretty talented, and then you got a boatload of kids who have 1 or 2 years or never played before, mm-hmm. and you got to put this team together and make them competitive. And if you're able to do that successfully, that really shows the quality of being able to impact a group of kids at a young age like that. I agree. That's a tough dynamic in middle school, coaching middle school.
Mm-hmm. But you'd be surprised at the number of kids who have, gone into high school when he was still doing middle school in McKinney, and they come back, or they're Coach Coleman. I mean, I went to have lunch with a friend of mine at a restaurant here, and a kid, he's not a kid, he's probably like 25 or 26, and he's serving, and I signed my name, and he said, you wouldn't happen to have a husband who coaches? I said, yeah. He said, did he coach in so-and-so? I said, yeah. And then he named him. I'm like, yeah, that's my husband. He's like, no way. I was there at the school with him in 8th grade and so-and-so. And I said, this person? He's like, yeah. He said, he probably doesn't remember him, but I remember him. He said, I was terrible at football, but he always coached me. He always encouraged me. And I was like, okay. So, outside of whether or not they go on to college, mm-hmm. it's interesting to see those kids that come back, but also other kids who come back and say, "Hey, I want to sign." He had another kid who wanted to sign his letter of intent to go to college. He wanted to do it at the middle school with him. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Or
Yeah.
people that he's known who are now, who play professional or who are in professional. They still know Coach Coleman and they still say him. So clearly there's something else going on, I think, which is good for him because he's good with kids and he loves kids, that it's not just coaching the sport, right? It's more than that. It is building those relationships, which again is a part of life, building relationships. So I just had to add that.
That's-
'Cause I thought it was kind of good.
No, yeah, that's powerful. That's like you make a lifelong impact on somebody. You know, I had middle school coaches. I don't know, Shannon, if you remember Coach Mike Minahan at Vallejo Junior High. Mike Minahan, he still follow me on Facebook. He follows everybody on Facebook. He comments on everybody's posts. Like he's one of those like Coach Coleman. He's, I think all of us as athletes from Vallejo, all of us, at least who went to Vallejo High School, we all know Coach Mike Minahan and Coach Wilson.
And Coach Wilson.
Coach Mike and Coach Wilson. One of those two coaches for sure. Vic Wallace,
Yep.
Coach Fawcett, but
Yep.
but Coach Wilson and Minahan are like staples to everybody's journey as an athlete in Vallejo, at least through Vallejo High School.
Yeah.
And I see
Yeah.
maybe that's kind of the same thing starting to go on with Fred. So that's pretty dope. One more question. Well, not one more question, but next question for you. You guys two met in college at University of Washington and have built and maintained a beautiful marriage for the last 20 years. Congratulations on celebrating your recent 20-year anniversary.
Thank you.
Talk about your time at UW as college sweethearts and how you were able to maintain such a solid friendship after all these years, despite the challenging schedules, football away, games and events, individual personal pursuits. How do you guys make it look so easy?
I don't know that it was always easy.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest, we're two different individuals, right? But also, we're in college. So we can say sweethearts, but we might say not because we weren't together the whole time. It's, you're young, you're kids, right? You're doing what you want to do. I'm doing what I want to do here and there. And, I plan to go to law school. He was planning to play football. I wasn't stopping my dreams for him, and he was not going to stop his dreams either, and that was fine. But I think to your point, we at least were able to be friends too, right? We're friends. I genuinely like him. And so I say, as far as college goes, it was I think probably what can be normal for a lot of people, maybe not everybody, off and on, and I think we probably didn't really get like really serious to maybe my second, third year of law school, maybe like for real, right? And he was playing football. He was somewhere else. I was somewhere else, right? I was in Los Angeles. He was on the East Coast primarily, right? And so I think that's when we really got more serious, and as trying to be adults, right? And determined where we want to live, where we're going to be, whose career is doing what, right? And so I think for us, one, it was growing up, like anybody else. You got to grow up. Trying to mature, what works, what doesn't work, and then even in marriage, right? Compromise, right? Because there are some things that get on my nerves, and there are things I'm sure get on his nerves because we're human, right? I am, like he said, I'm pretty organized. I'm pretty disciplined about certain things, and he's a little more flexible about certain things. But I think it complements. I think we can complement each other that way. Where sometimes it's like, okay, maybe I need to relax a little bit. You know what I mean? I need to relax a little bit. But I think it's just been maturation over time, right? Because when you're young and your kids in your college, college was great. I have no regrets about anything in college. We had a great time individually and together. We met some of our best friends in college. We have group texts with friends in college that we laugh about as just complete tomfoolery, because you just have so many memories, and we have so many memories together dating back to 18 and we're 50.
Yeah.
I've known him longer than I've not known him.
Yeah.
And so I think really it's just the natural progression. We were in college. We met our freshman year. He knew my brother before I knew him. Before I knew him. You know what I mean? rather, Jason knew him before I knew him. And we just met, we had fun, we laughed, we broke up, we had fun, we got back. That kind of thing. And just maturation, growing, and deciding that, we wanted it to be us. And then we just kept going. So I think if it's a story, that's the story, right? Growth, maturation, and just continuing to learn about each other when we were younger and as we got older, because of course we're going to grow, right? We're not the exact same people that we were at 18, but our hearts are the same.
I like that. Fred, I'm going to let you go in just a second, but she said it multiple times. If you're listening, we talking about how you sustain one of the ways or some of the ways you can sustain a long-term marriage through all of these different challenges and still be friends. Grow up. She said we just had to grow up and become adults, and then we had to mature, and then we had to make decisions, and that's pretty much the path. You grow up, you realize I can't keep thinking the same way I used to think. Right. I've got ways that I need to value my life and value my future going forward, and so now I need to make some decisions about that future, which means I need to make decisions about my present. It sounds like that's what you guys did. Fred, what's your feedback on that?
It's pretty similar to what she's saying. In college, I will say one thing. In college, when I met her and we hung out, I pretty much knew she was going to be my wife. But I
didn't know that.
Still was a young man. I still was a young man trying to enjoy every opportunity I had in college as well. But we got to know each other. We hung out. We studied together. We went to different places. We did a lot of stuff together. So I feel real good in who she is and what I know and what she will do, what she won't do, the buttons I can push, the buttons I cannot push, where she gonna put her foot down, where she not gonna put her foot down. I know how to, persuade her a little bit. I know how to sweet talk her. There's things.
Man, been studying, boy.
Go for it. So I feel very comfortable in who she is and how I felt like she fit with me. I'm kind of a nonchalant, disciplined on things I need to be disciplined on guy. And she was kind of I always say this, I don't know if she likes it or not. She had some of my mom qualities, which were bullet to the forehead. I give you the truth right now. You either can handle it or you can't handle it. And that worked for me. And so, I'm just a hangout guy, cool. And so we had our times up and down, but I always did everything I could to keep our friendship and relationship close. We might have been not together, but we still talked on the phone. I recall being in different cities and calling her in California and being on the phone late at night when I'm somewhere else across the country, but we had our talks on the phone still. So I felt, even if she was hanging with another dude, I still felt comfortable with how she felt about me, and I don't know if she felt that about me, but I felt like there was never a time she was too far away from me, even though we were different places. And so when I felt like I was ready as a young man and time to do the right thing, that's when I actually asked her to marry me, things of that nature. But college, we did what kids do in college. We liked each other. We might have fell in love with each other, but we was all over the place in college having a blast. And then as we got older, we started doing what she said. We started growing up. We started having to say, hey, all right, are we going to be together or are we not? Are we going to try to make this work or no? Am I coming to California? You coming to where I'm coming? What we doing? And if we're going to do it, let's do it and let's get it going. And so she was ready to go. I was ready to go, and we been trying to make it work ever since, and fighting for it every year, and just really having a love and knowing who the person is that you with. If you know who she is and she know who I am, we're gonna have some arguments, some ups and downs. But at the end of the day, she know what I stand for, and I know what she stands for. Yeah, man. Everything both of you guys just said is powerful. Like, he talked a lot about communication. He talked about being committed to the idea of each other, even though you guys might be in separate spaces, might be in different places in your life. Like, he knew at some point, I'll let her do what she do, and I'm gonna do what I do, because there's gonna come a day where we're going to be sitting right here on the podcast talking about we was married 20 years, happily ever after, that kind of thing. So, man, valuable feedback. If you're listening and you're, newly married, or if you've been married for 20 years, there
is something you can get out of that, because communication, commitment, growth, making a decision, maturing, being friends, like he said he was across the country, but they would talk late at night. So they still gonna talk. They might not see each other, but they're gonna communicate. And that's what friends do. Friends communicate, and that's how a long-term relationship is sustained, by being friends and committing to that idea of one another, even if things aren't perfect. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys sharing on that topic. Shannon, we talked for a moment last week, and you mentioned that your daughter had some concerned thoughts about her athletic future when she mentioned the pressure she's beginning to feel as the younger cousin in a family of D1 level athletes.
Yeah.
Talk to us about her concern and your response to her in that moment.
Yeah. So she made a comment. We were just talking, and she said, we may not feel it, but she feels some amount of pressure to have a D1 scholarship, to be an athlete, right? And that if she didn't get a D1 scholarship, she might feel like a failure. And so the conversation that I had with her was, I understood where she was coming from. Her feelings were valid, right? But I wanted to talk to her about, one, not every one of your cousins, because she said all her cousins have scholarships, or they all get recruited and that kind of thing. One, not all of her cousins have scholarships or had, D1 scholarships. Because it's a ton of us, right? I have over 20 something nieces and nephews, and then I've got like 12 or 13 or 14 great nieces and nephews. So not everybody had that, but from her small perspective, it's like everybody does. And then she's like, and then my brother, and then everybody knows that I'm an athlete, so they expect me to. And so we just talked about, one, trying to redirect her thoughts when she has those thoughts of being a failure, because one, she will not be a failure, whether she plays a sport or she doesn't play a sport. And making sure that she understands, I talked to her about her identity. Her identity is not in that sport. That is not who she is. That's what she does. But again, I can say it, but she has to believe it. And so we talked about that. We talked about how trying to redirect your thoughts, which is hard, right? Because we tell ourselves certain things, and then we believe those things. So whether it's a negative or a positive, we have to be conscious of the things that we tell ourselves. And it's a hard thing. You have to teach yourself that. And everybody, whether you're a kid or an adult, and she's only 15, that's not an easy thing. And so one of the things I also told her was her favorite Bible verse is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and give you a hope in the future, not to harm you. I'm not saying it completely right, but that's her favorite verse. And so I told her, when she has those thoughts, think of that, right? Redirect it to that, because God has a plan for her, and God's will for her life and the plan for her life is not going to change, right? And sometimes it may not be what we think it's going to be, but God's plan is so much greater than ours. And so we just talked about that. And I also just wanted to validate her feelings and let her know I understand where she's coming from. And we do think she can play D1 softball, but that's not the end all be all. She has a lot of goals. She's got a lot of dreams, and she's good at a lot of different she's got a lot of talents. She's good at a lot of different things. And so we also want to make sure she understands that it's not just softball. She does play other sports, but she can sing, she's creative, she's funny. There's so many other good things about her that we have to continue to tell her the same things. And we have to tell Chase the same thing too. Before he getting recruited, or when he did, even now, and saying, hey, if I don't make it to the NFL, will I be a failure? We're like, what? No.
Yeah.
Again, your identity, who you are. So it's a constant, I think, just reminding them of who they are, right? And where their identity comes from, and that their identity is in Christ, and just everything else. But again, they're young. They're impressionable, right? And they still want to play. And she loves softball, so she wants to do that. So that was the conversation that we had, and the things we try to talk to her about. And hopefully it sinks in, because we can say it so many times, and it doesn't mean that she's going to necessarily always believe it. But hopefully we said enough, and she reads and believes, and, we're pointing to her, as well as other people, like our village we always talk about, that she understands that. And again, certain things just come with maturation. She's 15. She says, I see all my cousins having scholarships because every single cousin she has here has had a scholarship. So she's like,
Yeah.
I'm the baby. I'm supposed to have
I'm,
it too.
I'm supposed to.
Right.
You know, I'm related. I mentioned in the opening when I was introducing this family that, you know, she comes from a very, she's the youngest sibling of a very talented athletic family. And I said that we would explain a little further. And she kind of elaborated about nieces and nephews and her daughter's cousins, and her daughter having some concern about maybe matching up to some of the things she's seen her older cousins do by earning scholarships in athletics. You know, her last name is Shelley-Coleman, right? She's married to Fred Coleman, Super Bowl champion, but her last name is Shelley. If you see the last name Shelley on an African American football player, athlete, probably in the United States, they're probably related. And there are a lot of them out there. So I imagine that it would be easy for some of your nieces and nephews and your children to fall into that same line of thinking that there's pressure behind my athletic pursuits. And in the same, there are people who have no siblings that are, you know, or no nieces or nephews or cousins that, you know, are playing any professional or collegiate sports, but still, because of their own individual talent and what people are telling them and new NIL rules, they may see people getting, you know, money and earning scholarships on their team and they're not, or on cross rival teams and they're not. They start feeling that same level of pressure, like I need to be doing this, or and it may affect their, you know, their anxiety or depression, their mental state. So I asked that question because I think it's important for parents and athletes to remember that you are more than just an athlete.
Absolutely.
You might be extremely talented. You might be the best to ever do it, but even the best to ever do it is more than just that athlete.
Right.
And at some point, we may not all reach the pinnacle of making it to our desired goal in that particular sport. And so when that end of the road, and even if we do, there is an end of the road.
Absolutely.
Right? What are we going to do after that? You know, what are we going to do when we reach that end of the road? So I like that you guys are, you know, feeding your kids into that mentality. Fred, go ahead. Did you have some feedback on that as well?
Yeah, I just tried to explain to my daughter that her name is Kaden, and she don't have to be anybody else. She just has to be Kaden, and Kaden is enough. Whether Kaden is somewhere doing some singing or performing, she's advanced in Spanish. It's a lot of other things that she's really, really good at. And so I just want her to go be her best at whatever that is, and don't waste your time and mess with your mind thinking about what your cousins may have or your cousins may not have, and because all that is put negative thoughts. I'm a big person on if you think negative, negative happens. Positive, I want you to think positive because positive happens. So just trust yourself, go play hard as you can, be the best you can be, and we'll live with the results. And the results are going to be good for one because you have God, and God is He already has your plan. He's gonna make sure you doing something that is beneficial for yourself as well as the kingdom. And then I just try to get her to understand that everybody's race is different. So you do what you do, have fun doing it, love yourself, play for yourself, have fun, and do those things and have fun. And don't worry about any of the other things. You don't have to be special to nobody because at the end of the day, you got God is gonna always love you, and I'm gonna always love you. Your mom and all the family's gonna always be here for you. So don't get yourself caught up in those thoughts because that's not nothing of coming out of that can be positive because you're comparing, and comparison is the robbery of joy. So please don't compare. Just play and have fun. And if you don't want to play, we'll do something else that you have fun with. Whatever it is you want to do, we'll figure that out too. But we just gonna keep doing it with a smile on our face because it's something you enjoy doing. If you don't enjoy doing it, then don't worry about it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's a sport. It's an athletic activity, and it's supposed to be fun. Even when you make it to the level you made it to, it's still supposed to be fun.
Absolutely.
You know, you still got to have fun, even if you're getting paid for it. Even if you got 10 practices a week, it still has to be fun to you. Or at some point, you're gonna decide to stop doing it. You know, it's not serving you anymore. And then keeping God in the mix, keeping the being in alignment with who God created you to be. So at some point your athletic talents might not pan out to where you might have hoped, but God didn't create you just to be an athlete.
Right.
And that might not even be your pathway in the end.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that thought. It reminds people that we are more than just athletes, and to also give your children opportunities to explore other areas of their skills and their gifts. We all of us as parents, we get excited when our kids want to play sports. I won't say all of us. Most of us get excited when our kids want to play sports. We'll go sign them up, buy them all the equipment, and do all the things. But what if your kids say they want to take an acting class, or they want to take a dance class, or they want to draw or something like that? Are we going to provide the same level of support? Are we going to sign them for that class? Are we going to take them to that event or whatever it is? So that's a great reminder. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Fred, what advice would you give to an aspiring young athlete who might not be making their school basketball, football, or baseball teams, so they're not getting playing experience, or they might not be being put in the right coaching situations for them to learn and grow in their sport? What would you suggest to this young athlete and to his or her parents?
Well, I would tell the young athlete to do the work that's required. The work is really simple. You got to go perfect your craft, work at it, improve, and take baby steps every day. Improve on something every day. Find something that, say you're a good shooter, work on dribbling, then work on shooting. Just keep on taking baby steps, taking baby step every day. The old saying is 1% better a day. Do that and put the work in. Don't be afraid to go work out outside in the heat. Don't be afraid to stay late, come early. You got to be willing to do those things. Everybody talks about how good how you can be this or be that. I got this from Tomlin. I think that's Mike Tomlin, the coach at the Steelers. He said it's about what you're willing to do, not what you can do. What are you willing to do? Are you willing to wake up early? Are you willing to stay late? Are you willing to do some stuff by yourself? Are you willing to do it when no one's looking? It's about what you're willing to do as an athlete, because you have some athletic tools. If you're willing to do the extra, at some point it'll start falling in line for you. But as far as the parents, as a parent, I think it's important that you kind of get to know who the coaches are, who the people who are trying to pour into your kid or not pour into your kid, and try to build a relationship to see see if you can get what the truth is of why he may or may not, or she may or may not be playing. Is it something she's not doing, he's not doing? Is it just more talent? Whatever the situation may be, find out, and then as a parent, make the best decision for your kid. If you need to move your kid to a school where he has a chance to play, then do that. If that, at the end of the day, because if your kid wants to play and you have the opportunity to do that for your kid, I think you should do it, because now you give your kid a chance. And whether the kid is good enough or not, that doesn't matter. What matters is they had the opportunity and they played, and then they were the best that they could be. Because at the end of the day, the kid can live with the results, and you as a parent can live with the result, because you did what you want. You gave your kid the opportunity to play. And sometimes you have to move around. Sometimes situations change and you need to move around. But also instilling your kid that the work needs to be done first. If the work is done, then we can talk about anything else. But make sure you're doing your part about the work. Get the work done. Don't be afraid of the work. And don't complain if you're not taking care of the things you need to take care of. Kobe said, I got nothing in common with lazy people. You can't be lazy and tell me you're a great athlete and you want to do these things and do that. Those things don't go together. You have to be willing to do it. And if you're willing to do it and you're willing to sacrifice, then you'll be okay. Some kids takes longer than others, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Kobe said he wasn't passing them the ball because he see how they work in practice. So I'm not passing you the ball, man.
Right.
So put in the work. That's that. I appreciate that. That's a great response. And it's important to remember that we have to make sure that we keep things in perspective. What our goals are. If is our goal to make it to that to that next level, or is our goal just to make the team?
Right.
Is our goal to improve this season, or our goal to, whatever? You have to evaluate before you get started what you're in it for as an athlete and as a parent, so that parents, you can appropriately support your athlete. You have to know what they're in it for as well, so you can appropriately support them. Fred, a piggyback question off of that. What would you say? What's your thoughts about parents who, I know you mentioned parents might, if you have the opportunity to move your children, if they want to excel in a sport and you need to do that, make that decision, you would recommend that. What about parents who, I forgot the term, when they're taking their kid into another grade, they're playing their kid up. They're in 9th grade, but they're moving their kid to 10th grade so that they can accelerate faster, or they're moving their kid back so that they can be bigger and stronger, a little bit more smarter by the time they graduate from high school. What's your thoughts on that?
That's a tough one for me because I look back at me, I look back that when I was come up, it wasn't a lot of holding back. When I was young, my parents and other parents, if you were talented enough, and the coach told your parents, if you were talented enough, yeah, you could play up a grade. Say you playing youth basketball, and instead of playing with the 3rd graders, you might play with the 4th or 5th graders. That's all good because you just kind of learning the ropes, and you kind of challenging yourself because maybe you're just better than most of the 3rd graders or whatever it may be. But as you get older, and now you see the maturity levels change and different in different kids, I see one side. If you hold your kid back, it may be very beneficial. He may be bigger, stronger, and have a great opportunity because now he's matured already, and now he can go. He was already a good player, but now he's matured, and so now he get to repeat doing that against guys that may be a little less mature physically, not talented wise, but physically, and so it gives you maybe a small advantage there. But then I look at myself, people like Jason. I think if you had a talent, you got the talent. At the end of the day, if you can play, whether you hold yourself back or don't hold yourself back, if you're talented enough to play your age group, then somebody would notice it if you're talented enough to play. So it's kind of that's a tough one for me. I'm not sure which side of the fence I land on that. But I know with my son, Chase grew late. In the 9th grade, Chase was 5'7", 5'6.5". Now he's 6'3".
Sprouted,
so,
yeah.
He was a late bloomer, and so sometimes parents want to hold their kids back because they may be late bloomers, and it makes sense. I get it. And then there's times, as like with my wife, she graduated high school at 17. I don't know if I want my kid graduating high school at 17. I want to get that extra year with my kid, let them be 18 at some point their senior year of high school. So now, you have that dynamic coming in there too. So I think it's a lot of different ways to look at that.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it depends on the talent of your kid. You as a parent, and if you don't know, you got to find somebody that you can trust that can really evaluate your kid and be like, look, you don't need to hold him back. He got enough talent. He got the size. He got all this. You just got to keep putting it together. Or somebody say, look, he got the talent. He's just a little skinny right now. He ain't grown yet. Give him that year to hold back, and once he grows, then he's going to flourish more because he has the talent. So I think the choice. I think having a choice is actually good. I think it's tough to tell a parent which way to do it. 1 year, hold you back 1 year before you can be 18. I do think, you can't be 19 and 20 in high school. I think that's outrageous. But, 18-year-old high school kid, you finish high school at 18, I think that's legitimate. But anything other than that, I'm not a fan of that. But I think it's a tough decision depending on, how your kid grows and develops. I really do think that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Can I add? I'm sorry. I was going to say, now, I didn't realize how we enjoyed sports in Vallejo, right? And everybody played something or played different thing in our community, right? And we loved football, my family. But I didn't realize how much they love football till I moved to Texas, and how these people love football and now basketball, right? But what I will say is, what I found out, and I didn't know, if your birthday is in May, June, July, August, a lot of parents in Texas will hold their child back. They'll start them late, or they'll just reclassify them. I know a lot of people who have reclassed their kids in the 8th grade, and they repeated their 8th grade, and it works out for them, right? Because maybe their birthday is later, or to his point, development. I think about that sometimes, and I'm like, if my brother Jason would have been held back, Jason's birthday's in August. If we'd have held him back and he'd have been in class 93, it probably wouldn't have been even more unfair as a football player, right? Because, you think about that kind of stuff. Or people have asked us many times, would we hold Chase back? Are we going to hold Chase back? Because his birthday is in May, right? And he turned 18 about a week or so before he graduated high school. Yeah. A lot of people in sports will have held him back. And here's the thing, to his point, Chase was barely taller than me in the 9th grade, right? Now he's way taller than me and him, and so those could have been some considerations, because people always thought Chase was really small. He's very slim, but he grew later. He got much taller later, and by the 11th grade, he was, 6'2", 6'3". He's grown, but we didn't know that was going to happen. At least I didn't. I thought he would get to at least maybe his height, but he grew, kind of late. But it fits in also with my family, their growth. My brothers, they started growing later too. My twin brother Sean is 6'5". We were about the same height in the 9th grade. He was a little bit taller than me, so then he grew later too. And so I say all that to say, just to piggyback on him, there's a variety of reasons why people hold their kids back, but I never knew until I moved to Texas how often people do hold their children back. And part of it is not just sports. Some of it is because they are young, right? Some of them don't want their kids going to college at 17, or they're not mature enough, and I understand that too. So it's a combination of things, but I think it does end up boiling down to a person's individual situation. But hopefully people make those right decisions, and they understand the decisions that they're making in reclassifying. But also, you're starting to see people reclassify up, like Cooper Flagg did, right? He basically didn't even complete his senior year. He reclassified up and graduated a year early and went to Duke. And now we see him as the first pick in the NBA draft. And he was ready, obviously, to get to college. So, I mean, I think that's more rare. But, people have their variety of reasons to do what they're doing.
I'm going to piggyback off of that. I'm glad you mentioned that about Tyler, Texas, and, your observation that things were different. Football life is different in Texas because, you see movies like Friday Night Lights and, different football movies that are based in Texas. And I hear all types of stories. I see championship games being played in like Dallas Cowboys Stadium, and it's packed out, that kind of stuff is like amazing to me to see for football. I mean, I remember how it used to be at Vallejo High School, but we just had one side, deep, and metal bleachers on the other side. But to see, in Texas, you got an entire indoor arena that's being packed out by a high school football team, and sometimes it ain't even a championship game; it's just a regular Friday night game.
I mean,
with two big rival schools.
They don't even when we were in high school, Johnny. Remember, JV and varsity played the same night on Friday. Remember that?
Yeah.
For football.
First
JV
game.
played before varsity. They don't do that here. The only people who get to play on Friday night is varsity, period. So
JV got to play Saturday mornings or something,
Thursday.
or
Thursday. The JV freshmen play Thursday. The only ones who get to play on Friday nights. And not only that, they're the only ones who get to play in the big stadiums. The JV and freshmen play on the practice fields. The varsity plays on the regular stadiums here. They're that serious about it. But I definitely didn't realize how. I mean, it's like.
No, it's a thing here in Texas. Friday night lights and just Friday nights in general. It's a big thing here. It's not about none of the other things matter. If you got to make the varsity team, If you make the varsity team, and then what year you make it doesn't matter. Making that varsity team and getting that Friday night light experience, it's pretty special, to say the least. It's pretty special because I had brothers and I watched all my brothers play, and then I had to wait my turn, and so it's pretty special.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. I know you guys got some action going on in the background. No worries, and I appreciate that because Friday night, a lot of people have seen that movie, and we're going to wrap it up here shortly. Friday, a lot of people have seen that movie, and a lot of people I think are intrigued by the magnitude of the sport of football in the state of Texas. Everything is big in Texas, including football. We are getting to the end. I'm about to wrap it up shortly. I got a couple more questions. This is another question for Fred. I want you as a dad who played at the professional level, who is still raising his kids to be high performing athletes, just to celebrate and brag on your kids for a minute.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that because I try not to. but I'll start obviously with Chase. He's the oldest one. He's I'm very proud of Chase. I don't I probably don't tell him enough, but his journey from his ninth grade year to where we at now, it's pretty remarkable and it's pretty special. And I will give him credit. He took it on the chin every year, and he came back for more. He took it, came back for more. People was telling him all the stuff. He had to hear about his dad. He had to hear about his nephews getting his cousins. Sorry, he had to hear about his cousins and everybody, getting opportunities. And he was just a skinny kid that was pretty good, but wasn't big enough, wasn't this enough, wasn't something enough. And he just continued to fight that battle. He continued to fight the battle, and then when he got his opportunity, he took it, he ran with it, and he ain't looking back right now. And I'm extremely proud of him. And he's always been a smart kid. He took care of his grades. He's always been on top of that. My wife and I, on him a lot about it because he's a smart kid, and sometimes he gets smart and he just don't want to do it and do it last minute. So we had to work with him on that. But as far as his journey, I'm extremely proud of what Chase has accomplished thus far and where he's at and how he's doing and all that, because he's worked his way to there and he's earned it. And I've always told him that I don't care about getting recruited as a freshman. I don't care nothing about none of that because it means nothing. You can only go to one school and there's only take one opportunity to get recruited. You can get a scholarship on the last day of your senior year. None of that matters if you get the opportunity that you're looking for. And he was patient and he worked and he got opportunities, and now he's in a great place and a great opportunity for himself. And so I'm extremely proud of him. And then my daughter, I don't know where to begin with her. She's pretty special. When I think about her, I get teary-eyed just because I know her battle. As a freshman this year, she started on the varsity team, and she was flat out outstanding. And every time I got to watch her, I just kind of shed a tear because it was so sweet to watch. And I know she's been through a lot of stuff. She was advanced this year in Spanish. She took Spanish 1 and she did Spanish 1. She was so good at Spanish 1, the teacher had to take her test, and now she's going to skip Spanish 2 and go to Spanish 3. So she's accomplished some great things, and I know it's a lot of great things in her future. She can sing. She's super funny. And so, me and her have great laughs and talks when we drive in these long drives during softball tournaments. And so each day and each year with her, I just get more excited about what she's doing.
And you can tell she's
I definitely can tell. I definitely Fred, I definitely appreciate your vulnerability in answering that question. I think it takes a strong man to shed tears, whether it's tears of pain or tears of joy, and so tears of pride. And those are some tears of pride and joy right there. And I would feel the same way. Sometimes I think about my children and things that they've accomplished, and it brings me to tears, man. You know, there's a lot of pride in there when you see them go through those challenges. You see them grow out of those challenges, and you see their development of their mind and their physical body and their, you know, their mentality, how they approach life. Yeah, man, that's very powerful. For fathers watching, for parents watching, you know, you got somebody here who has, again, reached the pinnacle of their sport and has seen it done at the highest level. And, you know, for him to still be down to earth enough, even though it's his family and his daughter, to, you know, be brought to tears about the pride he has for their development and their growth. It's just a testament to, I think, how I can't judge a parent, but how parents should really, the pride that parents should really feel about their children, you know, is a real testament to that, man. Appreciate that vulnerability. Shannon, it is evident that you have a lot of pride in your family and love them endlessly. With so many siblings, your household, and so forth, what has been your biggest inspirations in life?
Ooh, that is good. You know, probably I could probably pick something out of each one of my siblings, right? Every sibling has their own story. Every sibling has their own journey. I mean, I can start with my parents. We can start there. I can pick something out of them, obviously, right? But I could also pick something out of each one of my siblings. And I think what ends up happening is, you know, life, you experience so many different things. And so I don't know that I can pinpoint one thing, but what I can say is I think every single one of my siblings has a different story, has a different journey, right? And we can pick something out, good, bad, or indifferent. And I think those things impacted me. Again, I'm one of 10. I have a twin brother. And so you see many different things. And everybody's different because even though, you know, we're brothers and sisters, we all are different individuals. And so I think my inspiration is probably more just my family in general. We are a close-knit family. We love each other. You fall out with people. You still love each other. We get together. We have a good time. We're in different spots because there's so many of us. We love our nieces and nephews. We're all involved with all of our nieces and nieces and nephews. And so I think the inspiration would just be my family, right? And so that is also one of the things that I take into just my immediate family with my husband and my kids, right? We learn from different siblings and our parents. We do some of the same things. We do some of the different things. But we all are close. We communicate with each other. We laugh with each other. We just, you know, we talk to one another about different things. And so I would just say, again, it's just my family.
Yeah.
My biggest inspiration would be my family. I don't know if I can pick one person because, again, every single one of them has had an impact in one way or another. But just family and understanding my family is always going to be the most important thing to me.
I happened to go through your Facebook photos to find some of the photos I used for this episode. But I mean, that's what I see, that the pictures and the images show me family, 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 family. You know, I know that you guys are athletes. I know that you guys take trips. I know that you guys have different things that go in your life. But when I look at the images that you post, I don't see a bunch of trips and a bunch of sports, and I see them mingled in there. But the biggest theme I see is just family. You know, I found it hard to find a lot of pictures of Shannon by herself because there's all the other pictures you with somebody, you know, it's family. So that's very important. We are at the very end. I have a question for Shannon and a question for Fred. Fred, the question I have for you is similar to what I just asked Shannon, but I'll ask you that at the end. There's a segment I end the show with called Mount Rush, or What's Your Rush? Sorry. Okay. But Shannon, this is the last question. This is another Vallejo question. Okay, this is on a little bit of a lighter side. We've been talking some deeper, heavier stuff and shedded some tears, man, and talked about our children, got a little prideful and everything. But Shannon, this segment is called The Playlist. All right. You have five open slots in your disc changer. I know this old technology, but you got a CD disc changer. You got a CD disc changer still in the car, and you got five open slots. You can only occupy those five open slots
Right.
with Vallejo-based artists. Who you listening to?
Ooh, Vallejo bass.
E40, Mac Dre, Her, Confunction,
Yeah, that's a dope list. That's a dope list.
and probably Mac Mall.
I mean, that's a dope list. You can't go wrong. I mean, there's somebody gonna be left off. Somebody might be a little hurt. It is what it is. My list isn't necessarily the same. And
Somebody is
I
gonna be
ask
left
everybody this that I interview from Vallejo, and most of the time, I'm challenged
What's your
because
list?
Mac. I love Mac Mall. I love Mac Mall. But LaRussell, what he's doing right now is major. I really like what he got going on.
That's
So
okay.
if I would have the same list, I would probably put LaRussell where Mac Mall is. But I would definitely have Her, Confunction, E40, Mac Dre,
Okay.
and then probably LaRussell. But before LaRussell, it would have been Mac Mall.
I
Oh, you gotta look him up.
know LaRussell.
Yeah, LaRussell.
Or maybe I
Yeah, I
do,
don't think
just don't know
you probably have heard some
the,
songs. Search him up on Instagram. And
Okay, I will. I'm sure Jason knows because Jason always sends me some stuff from Vallejo, so he'll probably know exactly. I
yeah,
probably have heard it.
LaRussell
From
did
Jay.
his big movement basically is a lot of people are doing it now. He started hosting concerts in his backyard, and called it the Pergola, and he had inviting people from all over the Bay Area, literally to his backyard at his mama's house, and they built a big stage kind of back there, and he performs concerts back there, and he's growing, and he's traveling, performing in other places now, but that's how he got a bigger start and bigger name for himself, and then people started really tuning in to who he was as an artist and what he had to say. So yeah, he's pretty dope.
Okay, I'll have to look.
Yeah,
I'm,
that's
I'm
all right.
behind the times.
There was a time where I didn't know about him, and he already had like 20 albums out. He got like 35 albums out.
Oh, wow.
You got a lot. All right, thank you for answering that. Fred, this is going to end it. This question is called What's Your Rush? As in Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore has 4 iconic images or faces on it. So my question to you is, what are the 4 most inspirational people? Who are the 4 most inspirational people to you along your journey?
My 4 is simple. It's one person. It's all 4, and that's my mom. That's it. It's just her. She was my inspiration for everything I did because of what she did for me. She put herself on the line in every possible way you could, so I could be successful. So everything I do is about her.
Powerful.
That's
Powerful. Not a lot of words need to be said. I mean, you don't play about mama, so if I tell you it's my mama, and you just need to understand why. Understand. I don't.
Yeah. I was number 8 of 8, and she made sure I was okay. At the end of the day, and everything. I know Shannon's from a big family as well. She's 9 or 10, her and her twin brother. But we got a lot of those things in common when it comes to family. But I was Birdie's baby, and she made sure that I was okay, and no matter what she had to do.
That's a major sacrifice. When you got older siblings, and you gotta support, and raise a family, and you the baby. A lot of times the baby will get the crumbs, but it sounds like your mom made sure that everybody ate, everybody did what they had to do, and along your journey, she made sure that you were offered the absolute best opportunities you could have been provided. For you to put her on each one of those 4 slots is very powerful. So shout out to your mother. That's very major. This was a very fun episode. I thank you guys for being good sports. I know, no pun intended. Thank you guys for being patient with me and answering these questions. If you're in the audience, the viewing audience, I hope that you got something from this episode today. Mr. and Mrs. Coleman dropped a bunch of nuggets and gems on how you can manage your life and balance your life around sports and around athletic dreams and athletic goals. Is important as a married couple to make sure that you stay committed to be friends, stay committed to to growing up, stay committed to maturing, and then loving and supporting one another. And then for your children, giving your kid every opportunity to grow, give your kid every opportunity to succeed, and realize that they are more than just an athlete. They might be able to excel in sports. Support them in every way you can. If you had to move them around, if you have to put them in front of better coaching, make sure that they're putting the work in. But at the end of the day, they are more than just athletes. So make sure that you're balancing them out and making sure that they treat everything with equal importance, as well as they as much attention as they pay to their athletic endeavors. Shannon and Fred, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to give you the platform right now. This is an opportunity for you to speak on anything you want to speak on, brag on somebody, talk about an opportunity, event that's coming up, something that you guys are doing. If you have a business you want to promote, anything like that, now's the floor. The floor is open to both of you.
You have anything?
No, I don't. Other than
Well, thank you first for having us. We appreciate it. We appreciate the opportunity to just chat with you. I don't think, no, I shouldn't say that. I am thankful for our family and the sports atmosphere that we have. We love it. We just use it as a tool, right? And if we can go further, obviously we want to do that. I don't have anything in particular going on yet, but I may end up doing a little bit different what I normally do with the practice of law, because as we talked about the NIL and athletes and those things, I think kids need to have proper representation of people who actually care about them. And I think that we have, not just myself, my husband and my family, we have some particular I think skills and interests that we can help other ones. So whether it's me reviewing a contract, me looking at NIL possibilities, or making sure, because that's a big thing now. And these kids need to understand that they have multiple opportunities with this whole landscape, as well as now with the revenue sharing with the new House versus NCAA settlement. So you may see something coming from us in
That's
that
major. Please
future.
do. If I think that's definitely needed. I know a lot of people are talking about NIL and the opportunities for their children. Some college athletes. I know I've got personal friends who their kids are now, they just graduated from high school and they're just started earning scholarships, and they're having NIL conversations. And it's like, okay, make sure you make the right decision. So that's major. Fred, you got anything going?
Right.
no, I don't got much going. Just enjoying the summer and training kids that want to be worked and getting better, get themselves opportunity in high school to possibly get the opportunity to go to college. And other than that, nothing. Just encourage people to love their families and be committed to their families. And last but not least,
Let's go.
Bruins!
Hey.
I'm excited for my son, the UCLA Bruins. I'm excited for his opportunity there and what they got coming up. So can't wait to go see him. Whether he just got the uniform on, whether he get playing time or not, I don't care at this point. I'm just excited that he's there and he's gonna have an opportunity to be there, and then his time will come. But I'm excited for him that he's in LA.
What's his number?
He's gonna be 31 his freshman year, and then he might try to get to his number if things go well. He loves number 2. But
So y'all,
right
this fall, watch out for number 31, last name Coleman. Y'all looking at his parents on UCLA. If you see Coleman 31, you're looking at his parents right now. You're going to remember some very proud individuals who raised that young man to be who all he is. Shannon and Fred, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys being here. This has been another episode of the Revisit Your Dreams podcast. I just want to remind you before we leave, our episodes will air on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Revisit Your Dreams channel on YouTube.com. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode of Revisit Your Dreams channel. We out.
Revisiting my dreams with the
Thank
king.
you.
Appreciate you, man.
for.